I'm just going to quickly run through the rules of the game. We're going to give each one of the candidates 5 minutes to tell us anything they want or anything about them. They get 5 minutes. And Carrie, where did she sneak off to? Is our timer, and she will stand up when you've got 30 seconds left. And if you don't close it off, we bring out the cane and the hook. So then after everyone's had an opportunity to speak, we bring all of them back up and we ask questions from the floor. And here is really the really interesting part. But on the audience side, it's got to be a question. I don't want any statements. And I'm pretty good at identifying statements now. And I will cut you off. So anyway, just no statements, but questions. And you can direct it at any of the candidates, but then the other two also have an opportunity to answer that same question. And they'll get 2 minutes to answer. And we will determine who goes first and who goes second and who goes third. I've given Carrie a number, and it's between 1 and 10, and whoever gets closest to that number that I've given Carrie can decide whether they go first, second, or third, and the next closest, anyway, goes on down the line. Now, where's our DeeAnna?
Yes.
A number between 1 and 10.
7.
Where's Terry?
10.
7.
Where?
6.
Okay, the number was 1. So it kind of just
Who wants
goes
to go
in.
last?
You want to go last?
Gabe wants to go last.
Okay.
Doesn't everybody want to go last?
So you were, what was your number?
7.
7, so you're the next one. Now, do you want to go first or second? Second. Terry? Front and center.
I'm gonna go last, even after the last guy.
He has a video to show, so.
Yeah, you're first. Yeah.
You guys will like this. I'll bless you with words that I'm not going to say myself. I have prepared a presentation to take the pressure off. So I think you'll enjoy this. And when it's all done, you can ask me any question you want. This is why I came here and why I love serving on city council. I retired. I can live anywhere I want to live.
Volume 51.
So
Woodland is wonderful.
I asked a lifelong Woodland resident what it was that she liked most about Woodland. Without hesitation, she said, the people. They're normal. I thought, you are so
Volume 74.
people. The neighbors, the friends, the families, and the children of this community that make it so wonderful. I love our location, immediate access to the freeway, close to an international airport, a day trip to the beach, and a day trip to the mountains. We live along the shores of the mighty Columbia River, the home of the Seahawks. That's one of the best rivers in the entire Pacific Northwest, the North Fork of the Lewis running right through Woodland. Our winters are not long and bitterly cold. Our summers are not unbearably hot. As the Woodland Beavers, we are proud of our public schools, providing activities, a positive and safe environment, and free from many of the problems affecting other schools nationwide, and opportunities for growth and development for students from all backgrounds and demographics. Woodland enjoys a rich heritage as a family-friendly, little Americana city. Woodland is over 100 years old, but under the thoughtful care of Mayor Finn, we have addressed and are repairing many of those aging issues. We are blessed with a superb professional staff at our Woodland City Hall. We have developed and implemented an informative and accessible city website. If you ever need help with our website, you can get immediate professional help from our superb staff. We are blessed to have a city council consisting of folks who are committed to keeping Woodland wonderful. Under the leadership of our mayor, professional staff, and council, we are enjoying a growing and thriving business community. We are blessed to have an active Chamber of Commerce engaged with our community and legislators to make Woodland the best that it can be. We enjoy a network of clean, well-maintained municipal parks, providing family-friendly recreation to folks of all ages. We have a small but mighty Rotary Club dedicated to the continual betterment of Woodland. Woodland has a rich spiritual history led by a fraternity of wise, caring pastors and leaders.
We especially pray in this chaotic time when it's easier to create conflict than peace, that we seek common ground, demonstrate grateful hearts, and helpful lives for everyone.
We have a rich heritage. We have a positive trajectory. I pray we can continue living the dream in Woodland. When I retired, I could live anywhere I wanted to live. I chose Woodland.
Woodland, we have a good thing going. Let's keep it going.
We're just gonna,
5 minutes to
we're
Yeah.
just gonna rotate, okay.
Yeah, we rotate, and then afterwards, we bring everybody back up for questions.
Okay.
Do you want to stand or?
I thought so.
Okay.
So, hi, my name's DeeAnna, Holland. I am, city council member for position 5. Boring, and I'm sorry. Every time somebody asks me what I do, I grew up here. I graduated in 1988. We just had our 35th class reunion in this room. That was kind of fun. That was a couple months ago. Met my spouse in Mr. Better's third period advanced shop class. And we have 2 sons, and the last time we did this, when we were all together for this, the last election, I just found out I was going to be a grandma for the first time. And Charlotte is now 3, and she is joined by my older son, and has an 18-month-old, and her name is Elena. And then we were just greeted with a new baby, Hamina. She was born 2.5 weeks ago. So yeah, a lot's changed for us and since 2019. So for the last 21 years, I've been in the screen printing and embroidery business. So the flapjack people, let me know if you need any unneeded words of advice. I also run for the last 5 years, I've been the board president of the Woodland Action Center, so that's the moving and social service agency just before the railroad tracks on Davidson. And just before COVID, just so everybody kind of has a visual of what goes on in our town, before COVID, we were serving about 180 families every Saturday. And then COVID hit, the numbers went down. Now we're seeing, because of the economy, we're seeing more and more new families every week. So last month we had 33 families, I believe, needing food assistance. Gosh, I also, because I clearly don't like to rest, the second Tuesday of the month, if anybody's interested in helping, I have a free laundry program at Seaver's Laundromat that we started about 2 months after they opened, 5-ish years ago. So folks in the community that need clothes or bedding, they can bring their stuff in, and we'll do 2 loads of clothes for free. I know I'm supposed to say something like engaging, and I'm kind of pulling a blank right now. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. For the last few years, I've been a council member. I got elected, and a couple months later, the world imploded and we had a pandemic. And so for me, I'm a little beat up. I got a business, a food bank, and a city. I wrote that out, trying to get all 3 entities with a lot of different complex issues through a pandemic, and now we're able to finally, I think we're all kind of in agreement, we can finally go forward and do some stuff without reacting to things that are outside of our control. And so that's why I chose to run again. I also feel like I advocate a lot for older folks that are retired and on fixed incomes that are being priced out of their homes in our community. Interestingly enough, 70%, I think it is, 70 some odd percent of the folks currently living in Woodland could not buy a new house here. So that's kind of indicative of kind of where my mind goes as a council member, is the folks who currently live here. So I will, I guess, wrap it up and let my opponent have his turn. Here you go, ma'am.
I'll have the baton.
Hello. First of all, I'm not the greatest public speaker, so if I just start laughing, it's because I'm imagining everybody naked right now. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm here because I've been a resident here for 47 years. Went to high school here. My kids, I've had 4 kids go through the school district here. I have 2 still that are going to be there for a little while. And I just want to see, we have an opportunity in this town, and I don't think they're doing what they can right now to make this town a better place to live and a better place to raise our kids. I think a change in government is needed because we have an opportunity in this town for growth, and we need to take advantage of those things. We need to hold our current administration fiscally accountable. We need to listen to the constituents. I think that people feel like they don't have a voice right now, and I think that's a huge part of being a city council member, is listening to your constituents, because I'm not up here for my personal platform. I'm up here to represent the people that vote me in. I think our city could do a better job at prioritizing their spending. I think there's a lot of projects that get started and take forever to finish, not on time and over budget. I think we have a lot of sidewalks that go nowhere. And I just think that we could be creating new avenues of revenue. And we haven't opened a new hotel in this town for 25 years. We need to be inviting businesses to come to this town. It should be an easy process for them to come here. And I feel like a lot of businesses have problems coming to this town, and they fight with the city, and it's just hard to get. They need to make it more inviting. We need to attract businesses and go out and recruit, basically, investors to come here and build and create avenues of revenue for our city. So we don't have to have the high water bills and sewer bills. We need to review our strategies to lower utility rates. My water bill shouldn't be double what my neighbor's is, And we just need to hold them accountable. And I think change is definitely necessary for that. We need to keep our jobs local. We have an opportunity in this town that, if you look at all the towns around us, look at Ridgefield, look at Kalama, look at the new place they have opening up in Kalama. I mean, Woodland has the opportunity to have something like that. We could partner with the port. We can create tons and tons of new infrastructure that would help get ourselves across town and not take an hour to go from one side of town to the other in the afternoon. And I can't really complain about it if I'm not gonna go out and try to do something about it. So that's one of the biggest reasons I'm running is I wanna try to do my part to make it a better place to live and not be so congested and just enjoy our town because it's a great town and I love living here. So, thank you.
Come on back up. You don't get out that easy. DeeAnna, Terry, front and center, you guys and gals. Okay, now I've always, we've had a lot of legislative meetings.
We need to.
Does that work? Yeah, that worked. Anyway, and I've always said at the beginning, I pride myself in, I'm proud of Woodland for asking hard questions and questions, so let's let it start. Who's got the first question to ask one of our maybe new city council people? Okay.
So what are concrete action plans or ideas that you have to reduce the water?
And you want to direct it to one and then?
No, everybody. We'll start with Terry first. DeeAnna, I know you're too.
Sure, you can go first. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, the water issue, I think, I don't know everything because I don't have all the data and I can't be 100% sure what the best solution is to fix it, but I definitely think building back in-house would be a good place to start. I think outsourcing it just makes it that much harder to get answers and to figure out what the issue is. And I just think that I'm gonna look at and sit down and go through and see where the issues are and the best way to go about fixing it. But I definitely think bringing it in-house would be a good start.
Want to give it? It's your turn. Yeah.
How do we propose, or how would I propose to lower water bills? That was the question. So unfortunately, since we're a room full of business folks, I will try and put this in a business analogy because that's kind of how my brain works. If you have a thing and it costs $1, right? It costs $1 to make, and you sell it for 50 cents. Over time, you're gonna lose money, right? And then that thing sits on your shelf and it doesn't generate any money, so you take money from another pot to offset what you're losing on that thing that you've been underselling. And unfortunately, that's kind of how our utility system worked. We were not charging enough. So there was a study, and I know some folks aren't interested in studies, but you need those to have data to justify your decision making. So there was a study done that said to repair the things in our city that needed to be repaired and maintained, you have to charge X. It sucks, but there's only a handful of people inside city limits pay for everything. All of us who live inside city limits, we're paying for all of that. So effectively, our rates went up, and it had to get to a point, there was a big jump and a big jump. And a lot of this was delayed because of COVID. This decision was made early in the pandemic, and it just got pushed off way longer than it needed to. But we had to get to a certain amount of money coming in to pay for the repairs that need to be paid for a city. And so I hate to say, there's no good way to make that go lower when that's what it costs to run your infrastructure. If you want to have sewer, if you want to have clean drinking water, it has to cost a certain amount. There you go. Mr. Hall.
Yeah, good news and bad news. Bad news is that we're not collecting, as DeeAnna pointed out, enough on our water bills. And so we've got a 100-year-old system that's fallen apart, and we got to repair it. We need a new tank, we need new lines, lots of things going on. And the study that she referred to shows that we need more money in that water fund. It is an enterprise fund. And so our hands are tied. We got to make it work. And that's the only way to do it. The good news is our sewer fund is flush. It really is. It's pretty solid. We were over collecting actually for the sewer fund. So that is not going up. The small increments that you'll see from now on are water related, not for the sewer. And so and I would have to disagree with Gabe on I spent 46 years in my career in the private sector. I think anytime they can get the private sector to provide a service, you get better results in the long run than leaving it with government. We did the right thing in getting the company from out of town that does that, because it has brought our efficiency up to 96% accuracy. We are on a great path there. The long-term solution would be, of course, electronic meters. That's $1 million project, and someday we will do that. That will really make our system work great. But it's a good system. It just needs some repair, and that's where we are.
How would you bring the private sector in to solve this problem? What would that look like?
Well, that looks like the mine that we hired, the company we hired.
I mean, in the water, to lower the water bills, is that what
They,
No.
They do water system, I think is what it
Oh.
was asking.
No, that is a municipal function. That is our enterprise fund. That's what we have to do. And so the city is charged with that. It's a monopoly, and we are responsible to maintain it.
private sectors build water treatment plants for cities? Can they not do water systems as well?
Well, we always take bids on any kind of project, so you're looking at what is the best bid on a project to get it done. But
Yeah. Anybody else want to respond to that?
Well, I think also that when the public works they come back with a number, this is what it's gonna cost, we did a study on this and this. I think there needs to be more accountability on where they're getting these numbers at. You know, you're telling me it's gonna cost $5 million to repair something. Just telling me, oh, this is what needs to happen because the study said so. I think there needs to be more legwork done and more to find out, is that the best solution? Is that the best price we can get? Because I don't think they shop prices too much. It seems like they just, whatever the public works says, they do it and they vote yes. So I just think there needs to be more accountability as far as what it actually costs to get something done.
Can I now?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of things. At the beginning of the pandemic, we already knew that the water reservoir was leaking and it needed to be replaced. There was a bid in place, I believe, to replace it. So as we know, when the entire world was shut down for, 2.5 years, once we were able to, as a city, go forward with projects, guess what? The price doubled. And so apparently everything now that the pandemic has ended is 2 and 3 and 4 times the cost. We've all seen that in our businesses. And unfortunately, same thing. And so that's maybe where folks don't realize that there was a bid and there was a plan in place and it was delayed outside of our control. And now almost every single project that was Coleman, our public works director, had on track to happen, while it was delayed, she's now looking at more and more labor costs, material costs. They wait way too long to get any kind of materials because there's still production levels because of the pandemic. So I don't have a good answer for why everything in the world costs more, but it just, apparently that's what it costs now. And so they're looking at how do we go about funding these things. And so one of the things recently to do for that particular project was to bond out for it. And if I sound like a public works nerd, I'm for the entire time I've been a council member, I've been on the finance committee and the public works committee, so I get to see the person ask for the money and where the money's coming from and how it's going to be spent. So, sorry. I'm a talker.
Next question.
I'd like to know when the council is going to take action on impact fees, since they haven't been updated, I think, since 2012. And I'm looking mostly at the transportation impact fees because of proposed development coming in. And I've been hearing since almost the beginning of the year that the council's going to hear it. I know there was some discussion at last night's council meeting, but they didn't talk about rates.
So, well,
I've got the mic. So,
then it'll go to Terry and then.
So we just did vote in a change to park impact fees. That was another one that hadn't been updated in a really long time. And I don't know why they had not been updated. I mean, I don't know. I'm not at City Hall every day. You have them. You could probably tell me more than I would ever know. But those are things that city staff are working on. And as a council member, what you can do is look at all of that and listen to staff's recommendations and whatever they bring before us, and then council will have an informed conversation for the public, and then we'll make a decision. But I don't know what their timeline is right now for bringing that thing back. If they said I didn't hear it.
Okay, Terry.
Yeah, that pretty well sums it. They have to look at each one of these items that come up for suggestion and for ordinances and whatever. And then once it's gone through staff and once it's gone through analysis, then it gets presented to the council. And at that point, we can make a decision. Right now, it's in the future. To answer Mary's question, it's not. We don't have a date on that yet. So, but it is coming.
Well, that's a long time, 2012, to have not readjusted the fees, and that's a lot of money that the town's lost out on revenue. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, as far as building fees to developers. I think somebody is responsible for not bringing that up. It's been since 2012. I think there's a lot of things like that going on that nobody wants to take accountability for it, and we need to just figure out the problem and fix it instead of talking about it.
Yeah, just the last one gets to hold it.
It's your prize.
Next question.
One of you mentioned the real estate prices, people who live here can't afford their own houses. can the city council do about that?
You wanna start with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if the city council can really do much about the price of the houses. I think building and planning has more to do with developing issues or but I don't think the council has a way of you know, affecting what the price of the house is gonna go for. I mean, having the right infrastructure and things in place that will help home values is one thing we can do, but I don't think they have the ability to determine property values.
So, I would tend to agree that city council, as a legislative body, can't dictate, that type of thing. But I saw, I'm not a realtor, and, I did see a gentleman make a comment on, Facebook, and I think he was a realtor, and what he was explaining was that, some of these impact fees, the developers, yes, they pay those, but that ends up in the cost of the house. And so, the end user is the person who's gonna end up paying for that. And, anybody who's lived around here for a while, we've noticed that people have migrated north. And so you saw this in Portland and then into Vancouver and then into Ridgefield and then into the center. And now we're at the Woodland part where, like, my house that's 50 years old and the house I grew up in has been assessed at a crazy amount of money because I guess somebody would be willing to pay that. And unfortunately, without enough housing for everyone, there's a housing shortage all over the country. Without more housing available, the costs are gonna just keep going up. It's supply and demand. There's less houses and a big demand, so people will like fist fight over how much they're gonna pay for a home. But as far as I'm aware, that is not a council does not have the ability to really affect housing. I mean, I might be wrong, but.
It is true that we have, house prices are dictated by supply and demand. It is a market-driven subject. However, one thing this council has done, the last 2 years, we have held the line on the increase. The state of Washington allows a city to add up to 1% on the property tax. We resisted that. We said no. And now it's up to 3% they'll allow a city to add. We're still saying no. We're holding a hard line to keep our taxes low. That's about the only thing, to answer your question, that the city itself can do in that regard. And of course, offer good utilities.
Wouldn't that, if you did raise those taxes, because property values are going up as a percentage, even if it doesn't have to be there, isn't that how you pay these bills that you say you can't pay?
No,
That's
not,
for your income.
no, not primarily. Real estate taxes, many people don't understand this. Real estate taxes primarily go to the county in which the home is located. There's a smaller portion, a tiny portion actually, that comes to the city. The city's revenue is primarily from sales tax and from the enterprise funds, utilities.
But if you're sending the county more money, don't they return more to you? No? Let's move to Oregon.
But no, they answer the question no. And I always feel like I sound like I want to fight with the county. But Woodlanders pay into the fund, and I see the county allocate funding to all the other little towns in our county. We're primarily in Collins County. But Woodland doesn't necessarily get a piece of the pie. And there used to be a pie chart on your property tax bill that you could clearly see in. Yeah, it was like 60% of your sales tax will go to the schools, like local and state schools, and then you get this teeny tiny piece that goes to the city of your property tax. So now I'm kind of lost sorry. But again, the county doesn't necessarily give our money back.
So all of this increased housing is being built. All the more people that are moving, will that improve our revenue?
In the county, but most of the development that's happening in our community is outside city limits. And so all of that traffic and stuff, the county has not, as far as I'm aware, kicked down back to us. The last time we tried, the city just recently tried to kind of be bold and let's say, hey, we're gonna plan, because y'all aren't doing anything for us, we're gonna plan for ourselves. And then the county sued us. We just went through that kind of thing. So now, there's a group right now where it's the port, the school district, the city, the county, everybody's now having meetings. That's just been recent. So maybe everybody, we're all together. Let's all kind of work together and share, if that makes sense. That's how it was presented to me.
I'm excuse me, pretty sure it's 0.079 is the rate of our property tax in 28.78. And that's pretty standard if you look at all the towns around us. They're all within 0.078, 0.079. But increasing those would bring more revenue to the city because of a house that's worth $600,000. Obviously, you're going to get revenue from that sale of that house or when they build that house. That's like with the impact fees, the developer fees on the development alone up there probably lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue that could have been had they had the right fee schedule in place.
Next question now. Did you get to answer that?
Well, I had another thought. People might like to know.
Okay.
If you look at the impact fees in cities around us, if you go up to Castle Rock, you've got like a $35,000 impact fee to build a new house. You go down to Ridgefield, you got the same kind of thing. Go to the center. Here, we've had next to nothing until just lately. We've got some increase, but ours is still way below. And that's how they build all those things that they do. They build it out of what we would call latecomer fees and impact fees. That and, of course, the sale of utilities.
Carol, I think. Yeah, you do. Yes.
This is for all of them. I want to know what your feelings are for opening a pot shop in Woodland.
Well, I'm the one guy that is probably the most adamantly opposed to that. And the reason being, well, there's a lot of reasons, but mainly it's kids. Which kid are you going to destroy their life with marijuana? And you start looking at what happens with licensing pot shops. You can look anywhere and see the damage. That's not some kind of secret. We've been in that mode for years. We don't need it here. Here's the thing. The state of Washington has about 290 cities statewide. 80 of those, that's almost a third of our cities have said absolutely not. We will not license pot shops. We're in good company with that. So that's the biggest reason, is because it's our job on the council to make sound decisions that are sound-minded and reasonably prudent, and to protect the people who can't vote and can't protect themselves, and that's the children. The children don't get a right to vote, but it's our job to protect them. Not to lead them into temptation, but deliver them from evil. That's our job and our responsibility. We need to man up and do it.
I kind of disagree with that, although, I mean, it is our responsibility to watch out for our kids, but show me the data where how many fatalities there were from marijuana overdose last year. But then go show me how many fatalities there were from drunk driving. It seems kind of hypocritical that you're okay with having a bar that serves alcohol that kills way more people every year than marijuana does. And it's not my personal opinion up there that matters anyways. I'm up there to vote to vote the way the people I represent want me to vote. So if the majority of the people I talk to would be in favor of the pot shop, then that's how I would vote, because it's not a personal agenda and it's not my platform to vent my personal opinions. That's not what the job of a council member is to do. And watching out for our children, I mean, that's your responsibility as a parent to, whether there's a pot shop there or not, is not going to make a difference with my children of how their life's going to turn out just because there's a pot shop. And actually, since that pot shop's been there, nobody mentions the things that they've done for the community. They gave 200 backpacks for the kids when school started this year. The Planners Day, they bought, I think, $3,000 worth of ride tickets for kids that couldn't afford to go on rides. They give back to the community. I mean, you wouldn't even know that was a pot shop if you didn't know it was, because it's a quiet, they don't create crime like they said it would. And all the people that go in that pot shop, they probably stop and get gas, or they go to Walmart and they shop, or they go to Ace and they shop. They're not just there to go to the pot shop. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue generated just from those people coming in to Woodland to go to that store. So to me, it's just like another business. Just it being a pot shop is not, I don't think, the end of the world. It's not going to destroy our kids. And I mean, that's what alcohol does, not marijuana.
So I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but, just because you do something for your community doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Because I do lots of good things too, and I don't get to do what I want. Unfortunately, there's a legal thing that we can't talk, well, that I can't talk about a specific entity, but I can talk in general, what the law is of Woodland. And as long as I've been a council member, there's been a moratorium, a permanent moratorium on retail marijuana in our community. It was voted in by the previous council, October 2019. So as long as I have been a council member, not one person has ever brought back that conversation. That's a conversation I'd love to have. What I've seen is zoning. You can zone right here for whatever you want. It doesn't make it, it doesn't magically make it legal in our town. And I would, when I took my oath of office, I said I would uphold the laws of our town, right? We uphold the laws of Woodland. And when I was elected, that was the law of the land. It has, there's been a moratorium since, gosh, Mrs. Johnson, you would know, like 2013, 20.
Long before it, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a moratorium that just kept.
Came in right as they made it legal.
Right, so they just kept rolling it forward, and then finally, October 2019, it was made a permanent moratorium. So that's a conversation I'd love to have as a council member, but it has never been brought before us as a council member. So it's not a conversation I can even, to ask me my opinion. I wasn't elected to have an opinion. I was elected to do the work and work for the people. And when we have meetings and you see folks come in and they're very passionate about things, that's what we're listening to. And you're waving at me, so I'll shut up, so.
It's getting close to the witching hour, but I think we got time for
What do you,
one or two more questions.
I'm not sure if you all understand what I'm talking about, but we have a park that the Rotary has been charged with getting developed and put underway, and that's the Scott Hill Park. And I'm in the Rotary, and what we are proposing as a way of managing this park, which is a city park. Okay, so it'll be a city park either way. But the management of it, we are proposing to be under a foundation, and not the Rotary, not something, but a separate foundation that operates that has the power to go out and hire the executive director and so forth, to keep it operating. Where do you guys stand on that proposal or that type of idea, or operating instead of having it as part of the city parks?
Do you want
Operating.
You first,
I'll go.
then Terry, then you.
Well, a couple of years ago, I'm familiar with this. So a couple of years ago, some of the Rotarians came to our finance committee meeting to make that proposal. And the conversation I remember was that I wasn't making any friends that night because it's a city park, and there isn't even a thing yet. In my opinion, there's not a thing yet. You're not actively doing anything up there. So it seems sort of putting the cart before the horse. There's not a fully functional park in place yet. It's a city park, yes, and we have a lot of parks that are incredibly underfunded. I think down the road, once there's an actual functioning facility, it would make more sense to bring that conversation back around. But it just seemed, to me, it seemed a little presumptuous that we have a field, we're not doing anything yet, and this is what we want to do. One of the things that has been very important is the grant funding that Scott helped us with one of the RCO grants. I think they got recently to help with that. And then there's more of a partnership since that meeting, since the Rotarians came to our finance committee meeting. There's now more of a partnership between the city and the Rotary, I feel. So Miss Coleman, our Public Works Director, she did a grant for turf fields up there. So I think that for me, I feel better as a Woodlander, that there's more of a partnership instead of here's the group and here's this group, and instead of not communicating, it seems like there's more of a dialogue between the two entities. So I think that looks good. But to answer your question, I think it's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's yet.
Terry.
Yeah, I like the idea, actually. I think that the thought behind the foundation is, the real word is preservation. That's going to be a wonderful facility up there. It already is, and it'll be wonderful part of Woodland going forward. And I think the idea of a foundation preserving that, and I think that's the idea, to take it out of any kind of civil, turnover. We turn over council people, turn over mayors, whatever. Take it out of all of that and keep it long-term preservation. And I think that's a really admirable goal that the Rotary has.
I think the biggest goal would be to actually get it completed first. I'd like to see it in my lifetime, kind of like the swimming pool that we never got, that we waited our whole entire lives for. I think the city, I would like to see the city do more on its part. Like, I would rather see the city put $600,000 in the Scott Hill complex versus a civic center that's not going to get any use or generate any revenue. Sports complex generates revenue from tournaments, from people renting the facility for practices, for all different kinds of things, and those people are going to stay in hotels when they're there. They're going to spend their money. I mean, it's a huge revenue for the city of Woodland, and the nice thing about it is the traffic goes away when they're done with the tournaments after the weekends are over. So it's not 7 days a week. It's money coming in without having to deal with all the traffic and everything that more homes would do, for example. But that's just my part. I think get it finished first before we talk about any kind of managing it.